So I'm going to read something that is extremely helpful, and not just intimate relationships, but relationships in general, with friends, with family. And I'm reading from The Power of Now. I'm trying to not show anything. As the egoic mode of consciousness and all the social, political, and economic structures that is created enter the final stage of collapse, the relationships between men and women reflect the deep state of crisis in which humanity now finds itself. As humans have become increasingly identified with their mind, most relationships are not rooted in being, and so turn into a source of pain and become dominated by problems and conflict. Millions are now living alone or as single parents, unable to establish an intimate relationships or unwilling to repeat the insane trauma of past relationships. Others go from one relationship to another, from one pleasure and pain cycle to another, in search of the elusive goal of fulfillment through union with the opposite energy polarity. Still others compromise and continue to be together in a dysfunctional relationship in which negativity prevails for the sake of the children or security, through the force of habit, fear of being alone, or some mutually beneficial arrangement, or even through the unconscious addiction to the excitement of emotional drama and pain. However, every crisis represents not only danger, but also opportunity. If relationships energize and magnify egoic mind patterns and activate the pain body, as they do at this time, why not accept this fact rather than try to escape from it? Why not cooperate with it instead of avoiding relationships or continuing to pursue the phantom of an ideal partner as an answer to your problems or of means to be fulfilled or feeling fulfilled? The opportunity that is concealed within every crisis does not manifest until all the facts of a given situation are acknowledged and fully accepted. As long as you deny them, as long as you try to escape from them or wish things were different, the window of opportunity does not open up, and you will remain trapped inside that situation, which will remain the same or deteriorate further. With acknowledgement and acceptance of the facts also comes a degree of freedom from them. For example, when you know there's disharmony and you hold that knowing, through your knowing, a new factor comes in, and this disharmony cannot remain unchanged. When you know you are not at peace, your knowing creates a still pace that surrounds your non-peace in a loving and tender embrace, and then mutually, and then yes. Your knowing creates a still space that surrounds your non-peace in a loving and tender embrace, and then transmutes your non-peace into peace. As far as the inner transformation is concerned, there's nothing you can do about it. You cannot transform yourself, and you certainly cannot transform your partner or anybody else. All you can do is create space for a transformation to happen, for grace and love to enter. And that's like the pause symbol right there. So whenever your relationship is not working, whenever it brings out the madness in you and your partner, be glad. That was unconscious. What was unconscious is being brought up to the light. It is an opportunity for salvation. Every moment, hold the knowing of that moment, particularly of your inner state. If there is anger, know that there is anger. If there is jealousy, defensiveness, the urge to argue, the need to be right, an inner child demanding love and attention or emotional pain of any kind, whatever it is, know the reality of that moment and hold that knowing. The relationship then becomes your spiritual practice. If you observe unconscious behavior in your partner, hold it in the loving embrace of your knowing, so you don't react, so that you won't react. Unconsciousness and knowing cannot coexist for long, even if the knowing is only in the other person and not in the one who is acting out the unconsciousness. The energy form that lies behind hostility and attacks finds the presence of love absolutely intolerable. If you react at all to your partner's unconsciousness, you become unconscious yourself. But if you then remember to know your reaction, nothing is lost. Humanity is under great pressure to evolve because it is our only chance of survival as a race. This will affect every aspect in your life and close relationships in particular. Never before have relationships been as problematic and conflict-ridden as they are now. You may have noticed they are not here to make you happy or fulfilled. If you continue to pursue the goal of salvation through a relationship, you will be disillusioned again and again. But if you accept that the relationship is here to make you conscious instead of happy, then the relationship will offer you salvation, and you will be aligning yourself with the higher consciousness that wants to be born into this world. For those who hold on to the old patterns, there will be increasing pain, violence, confusion, and madness. Never mind if your partner is not cooperate. Sanity, consciousness, can only come into this world through you. You do not need to wait for the world to become sane or for somebody else to become conscious before you can become enlightened. You may wait forever. Do not accuse each other of being unconscious. The moment you start to argue, you have identified with a mental position, and you are now defending not only that position, but your sense of self. The ego is in charge. You have become unconscious. At times, it may be appropriate to point out certain aspects of your partner's behavior. If you are very alert, very present, you can do so without ego involvement, without blaming, accusing, or making the other wrong. When your partner behaves unconsciously, relinquish all judgment. Judgment is either to confuse someone's unconscious behavior with who they are, or to project your own unconsciousness onto another person and mistake that for who they are. To relinquish judgment does not mean that you do not recognize dysfunction and unconsciousness when you see it. It means being the knowing rather than being the reaction and the judge. You will then either be totally free of reaction, or you may react and still be the knowing, the space in which the reaction is watched and allowed to be. Instead of fighting the darkness, you bring in the light. Instead of reacting to delusion, you see the delusion, yet at the same time look through it. Being the knowing creates a clear space of loving presence that allows all things and people to be as they are. No greater catalyst for transformation exists. If you practice this, your partner cannot stay with you and remain unconscious. I might just stop there and then, continue tomorrow. So let me mark that. So I guess this will be part 1. I wanted to read that. It was a question that I asked And I was given the answer through this book, which it was funny how that came about, but I know this helped. I know times are crazy with relationships. I know I know in this society it's like, well, if he won't do it, find someone else who will. I know there's a lot of people who just discards like the person that you love, you know, that they say they love and stuff like that, but they're easily discarded, you know. You just move on from one to the next, and that's what society likes to do. That's why you don't really see a whole lot of relationships that last 15, 20 years, even 5 years, you know, anything over 5. Yeah. I mean, it's rare for me to see a relationship that lasts over 10 years. I know of one. One that's over 50 years together. But I do believe that people bring up a lot of the unconscious parts right within you, and if you recognize that and see it and hold space for it and not react, not give in to the urge to react, you know, because some women fly off the handle and just stuff like that. Just hold space for yourself. Forgive yourself. Hold space for your partner. I'm thinking of, you can make it work with anyone, but I do believe a lot of people would be happier and more fulfilled in the relationship if they just talk like adults, you know? If they just communicate like adults instead of raising their voice and stuff. But I've seen a lot of shitty relationships. And I've only seen a few good ones. Which I'm sure everyone has. I do like seeing the ones that have a healthy relationship. Even when they're arguing, even when like they're at a disagreement, not like screaming and yelling at each other arguing, but like having a disagreement, you know, which disagreements are fine. We're not gonna agree with everything every single person has to say, you know. People think that they're right, and you think that you're right. So whenever that moment happens with me, I just try to understand like their point of view. If I don't already know it, but yes, I know this helped someone, and I will continue reading tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow. The sun's going down, and I like to sun gaze. It's almost that time. You can see the different colors coming off the sun obviously sunset and sunrise, not when it will hurt your eyes. You can tell the difference. You can feel the difference and you can see the difference. But it's really pretty if you've never done that. That's something I enjoy doing. So I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.